That's why, I was going over a couple, scenarios and things, past and present, the best of it I already ran. I'm sitting here thinking, and I think to myself, a lot, that's what you do, when, you're in a position where you kind of, I never use the term convalescent, in that way, but it's kind of like, you're relearning to live life again, and that's the kind of like what I'm in now. I'm in a state of relearning to live, you know, and there's a lot of things that's on the table, a lot of different contingencies and possibilities, and it's a lot there. And one thing I do is I always trying to get my head around the past, because there's multiple mean they can be things not always what they seem, but then sometimes they are what they seem, and sometimes we don't want to accept the obvious facts, and I know myself, that oftentimes that is the situation, but other times, it's just not the case. And there's a lot, that I'm still learning, and it's that's it's a lot, of like I say, new seasons and new realms. They bring new revelations a lot of times, and then unless God give you one big revelation and it covers numerous seasons. But for this season, I received new wine, and then you have to have a new wine skin. You can't pour the new wine in the old wine skin. The wine, it don't work like that. I have a new wine skin, new wine, and be refreshed. And so that's all a perpetual thing. It's not like it's for the season. You know what I'm saying? It's always for a season. And I started to learn, and I started to develop an understanding on some things. It's like mathematics. It's like fractions. It's like these things that happen in my life. I can, I ask God, with the help of God, that I can break them down. And when I think about like a lot of the things, like as I know I'm learning more about, who and what, and the whys, and now it's to a point, where I don't hold like it's impossible for me to hold any hate in my heart, regarding it. Though I know the nature of how things transpired, it's like I'm not personally feeling, that I want, or like atonement of the same nature or something. Like, if I sat there with her, we talking, it'd just be like, hey, that was messed up. But on another note, look at this guy, feel me? just saying, like, just that aesthetic. Like, I don't hold grudges, I'm just, but I like to know though, I like to learn, grow, understand spiritually and mentally, you know, slowly but surely, man, I'm getting it, getting the picture together. Now, anywhere I'm going, I ain't lead nowhere. And let me clarify something real quick. I ain't only way I'm leading anybody is pointing to the cross and Lord Jesus. I'm not Jesus. You feel me? I'm a prophet, and that's where my mouth. God used me to say things at times when it's needed. I'm not exalting myself no higher, and I'm not denouncing myself no lower. You know, ultimately, it's not even about me. It's about God, Father. And so that's what I'm trying to. I try to glorify the Lord in everything I do. And it's just like the truth, just as humans can't see, they can't understand life until they, like humans, most humans can't, like, they can't see how God can see. Like, they can't see from the present to the future and the past. You know what I'm saying? As human beings, naturally, we look at the present and the past, and that's how we gain understanding. You know, God can see past, present, and the future, and He can interact. And He's already, like, he outside of time. Like, none of those things, none of those things apply to Him. So that's why the term that, He's already in the next day. So He already setting the stage of. That's why you don't stress about your needs. You don't stress about those things that, like clothing and food, and what, once you pray about something and you let it go and you give it to God, then you say He gonna take care of it, because He's in the future already. He in the past, He in the present, He in the future. You know, He bring, only time I see Him use the past most of the time is like when He bringing something back to your remembrance in order for you to gain a new understanding, to see, it in a different light, to see your own folly, mistake, your own growth and progression. It's a couple of things God do with the past. Most of the time He wants you in the present though, and He talks about the future because He wants us to keep hope. And that's a word that came from God just then, not myself. Like, He wants us. The reason He keeps us, the reason He keeps our focus, He keep us rooted on the present, because tomorrow's struggles will take care of themselves. He don't want us living in the future, or living in the past. He wants us focused on our daily bread. You know, my only purpose in the earth, man. I just don't even. I don't think it's a purpose for me, aside from God. No, it ain't. It ain't no purpose in this world for me. And I'm learning, like, on and this year, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start, like, I'm turning my attention away from the persecutions, because that's been the case, and I realize that that's gonna be a constant. That's always gonna be a constant. Um, like, so now, I realize I can't become consumed, but I gotta stay focused on what I have to get done and get accomplished. And so now that is my main motivation and prerogative. But in the times that you do see things that seem combative, or you know in that nature, the same nature that I had already had been faced with, you know, that's that's because it was mandatory. There's no other option. When you see me embracing those types of things, and I'm talking about persecution and illuminate, it's a situation where there's not another option, you know, but to illuminate and express it, because that's the devil is constantly working to undermine, and he be at me extra tough because what God want me to do, as I'm doing it, I don't have to say it because the fruits speak for themselves, and that's that, that's that for that. But on another note, okay, all right, now where am I gonna get in now? And I want to go back, to like the beginning, because when I say, just like it would be a situation, as just as like with chemistry, and you just have like that natural chemistry, and then you have that vibe, that energy that you get, you know, and you feel like with certain individuals, and I'm aware, like, and I'm aware of that, and see, there's so much, because one thing I know, I had a concept, years ago, that was like for everything I see. And that was in reference to, like, literally for everything I see. But it ain't until later, in my later years, like now, that I realized that all of that was actually a part of a, a closed cult, like, like a satanic terroristic type plot, and then it's to degrade the quality of one's life. And it's not, that was an intentional thing. At first I thought that, dang, like, yeah, everything, I touch, but I see now, it's not like that. That was in reference to like any types of pursuits of that nature, romance or anything like that. I found to be undermined, strangely, like all the time. Almost as if, I felt, ostracized and isolated, from humanity, you know. And then I later learned that that too was also an aspect of it. And then I found, I felt isolated and ostracized from humanity to the point where I couldn't even like have. It was like it's like the whole ordeal was so sexist. It's like you couldn't even like, what I'm saying, like God created man for woman and woman for man. Like I was in a position where I couldn't even. I was rendered like it's like you rendered blacklisted or you flagged for something, and all of this was without my knowledge. Because me being the person and the man I am, and me standing on the principles I live by and the morals and goals and things that I believe in, there's no way possible that I could ever do anything that would land me in such a predicament, And there's nothing there, I mean, there's nothing solid, substantial, true, or anything like of that nature to put me in such of a box, like a detrimental scope to limit a person to the point where they can't even, find or embrace love, And it was to the point where I couldn't even embrace it. It got to the point where like these terroristic, forces or whatever they were, they uh, it's like yeah, it's like you be covertly, strategically separated, from even the cornerstones of my art form. And that was and me being an artist, I'm a poet. So there's different cornerstones and poets, One of the main ones is love. And I couldn't even embrace that, without, being persecuted or almost condemned, And all of this was because of things that were already done without, my knowledge or understanding of it, It just was ridiculous, And that's why, and there's certain chemistries and matches that, almost wouldn't happen, almost never would happen because two, like just that combination, is not something that's welcomed, that's something that would be very popular among many, And it's not because of what it's not because there's any premeditated or anything detrimental to society or anything, but it's just the idea, the concept, that, just that air of innovation, individuality, sync, sync, like you in sync, I can't even talk today, but density, yeah, and just that, and then I know I've been through it all before, and so I work tooth and nail to make sure certain things don't happen, and and I can't say nothing because God knows best, He knows whether that's it's all it is at the same time. 'Cause one at the end of the day, God can do what He can, but we got free will though. As human beings have free will, so they have the decisions. They have the choice, the option to choose their decision, whatever. So that's what it is. Satan knows that, so Satan tries to influence one's decisions by any means necessary to keep a certain outcome from coming. And most of the time when he do that, it's always gonna be good. Just thinking, man, just because it's illumination, just a lot of there's a lot that I feel, I've grown from challenges and things I've discovered throughout the years, spiritual truths, and I feel like it is beneficial, and it can be, it ain't hard for me to Now I'm it's to a point where I can see now, I can see things that I used to couldn't, you know, like spiritually. All right. But on another note, though, let me get on to this last embracement of this recording. Okay. I mentioned, like I made mention recently, about my got a poem. I just dropped like probably like 6 new poems right now at the beginning of the year, 2018, and this. And then these poems, and as I've spoken on, there's multiple reasons why I write, and it deals with like a lot of, and it all stems from things within inside, and I express myself regarding that, or for me to distract myself, or it's reasons, different reasons as to why I speak on things, and the way I see it, just like with my work, nobody can know, what I'm saying, the substance of my embracements, unless they look and they check for my embracements. And so that's a two-way street. There's things that I'm not checking for, and then the information or what's being, you know, implied, by those individuals have to be in alignment with what I've observed by what you can visually see and say, whether it's formal or informal means, it can be, people like you can see, that what I did and did not embrace. And then when it goes for so long, you know, and once it goes on for such a long time, and then like if I'm aware of it, what's going on, and it happens for so long, you know, and there's nothing happens, there's nothing, the whatever was being looked for never came, like I never did what was expected of me for whatever reason. So that leads me to think that maybe something was or is trying to be legitimated, you know, or there's some genuine concern or something regarding some unknown that I'm cognizant of, just something ridiculous, or and that can't be the case. But that's what the persecutors would want to be the case, because that would paint the best picture for their defense, for their but that's not the situation, because anything anybody can see as far as my bracement as a person, and after prolonged, watch and understanding, of my identity and through my contributions, which is and they say the mouth, speaks the heart, and what my mouth has said, my actions have aligned to, and it's been observable. It's been widely observed, and so there wouldn't be any reason for, like any of the accusations, create circumstances that degrade my life. These are small things, man. These just molehills, ant hills. The demonic things. They continue. There's always constantly. I can hit on it for. There's always constantly. New waves of satanic persecution that happens. Even as you speak, and I can pick up on it. Because of the spirit. But I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's almost unbelievable, but it's true. Uh, I know there's underhanded underworkings that's always at play. But but the thing is, this is my thing, regarding all of that, regardless of what somebody else doing or something like that, what I'm saying, the same rules that have applied to people for so many years, regarding, their intellectual property or regarding their own contributions or art form, it's the same ones that apply to me now, even though I may, it still apply to me, you know, regardless if I condemn terrorism or not, you know. And I don't condemn terrorism. I'm rather I rebuke and expose it, and about the workings of it, and things, if various aspects I've been through throughout the years, that I know from experience, and nobody can't tell me no different, nobody can't take that from me, and that's that's all, that I mean, there's no difference between what I'm embracing and what they're embracing. It's just they're doing it from their own hearts, and I'm doing it from my hearts. And then to add more on to that, I'm not searching for nobody to persecute. Feel me? I'm not looking for nobody to condemn. I'm not looking for nobody to attack. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like in some fashion, I can't say, because for the longest, it seems as though I was. It's like I was healed, or not allowed to express myself, while others could do. Like I don't like it's the strangest thing, it was the strangest thing. I mean, all of that I speak gone, like it's out of existence. Because now, me knowing what I know now, I know that that's not something that anybody should be subjected to. So I'm no longer choosing to be subjected to that anymore. And so it's like and it was the weirdest thing. There's no satanic coach. There's nothing else that can intimidate me to the point where I give up anything that somebody else can have freely. And that's just the bottom line. I'm willing. No holds barred, tooth and nails, relentless, straight beast mode. If that is happening. If that's the case. But what I'm saying? That's how it would have to be, because at that point, that's because think for years I've been exposing and illuminating the things that I've been going through, and there has been some changes, but I'm saying of a perpetuation of that, because mind you, there's things that still go on that I don't even mention, so when I'm writing poetry and I put out my expression, that's how I cope and deal with the things that I've gone through in my life. And I might not even be talking of anything about any kind of terrorism or anything about anybody else. Those are just merely things that I was going through, or just me expressing. I get to go through that, and then I'm talking about how it would be if I was, if what I'm saying, how things would look if I'm in the forest just walking up. It's there's tons of different concepts and things that I touch on and speak on, And then these truths, man, that I speak, man, it's classic. Like, I'll drop nothing. Like, I put my all and my heart into all of my contributions. Whether it's from recordings to my quotes and writings, everything classic, and there's been way more times than I could count, like, before my awareness that, I got some, I can't, like, and that's the thing, like, it's hard for me to say who and what, all the time, but I know for a fact, it exists and it happened. That's all I can be sure of. The rest of it is in everybody else's hand. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's a global item. It should be, because that's my wrath against it. Just as this wrath was turned against me for no reason, that my other wrath is utter extreme and utmost illumination of it. That's my wrath in return to that. Wrath of falsehood and satanic demonic, will. That had no righteous cause to infiltrate, my life or anything. And so that's the recompense I give back to it, fairly and justly, and that's not saying much, because it's like it gets to the point where, because, it's like it's taking on more of a vindictive type nature. It's as if to get revenge, and that's terroristic, like I'm talking about, terrorism I've been through, and then I make it globally known so nobody can, what I'm saying, like, because I know one of the things, it'll make you, just as with the sensitization, if you react to every little piece of it, you know, you will appear crazy, because that's the way it's designed to. But it's only because the grace of God that I have, that He maintained and kept my mind together to the point where I can discern, and differentiate between, what's what, and like, so I express, speak the truth, man. But you know, the ultimate truth is that holy word. And so yeah, you know, I broke it down. You know, I got new material that's already out coming. You know, uh, it seemed, you know, at certain times that, you know, I say that I'm gonna just sit back and observe and see how things play out. You know, but hopefully, you know, that's no longer a thing. Maybe that was just a phase or a season. I don't know. Or maybe it's, you know, it's constantly, you know, visually or overtly, you know, give the appearance of you know, desisting. Feel me? But why it's covertly more formulated and organized, and then, you know, only to overtly reappear later on down the line when it's perceived that I'm incognizant or unaware. But you know, that's the way it's happened before. So that's another thing, contingency that I plan for. You know, so it's always, you gotta be open and discerning. The Bible say be vigilant for your devil. It's like a roaring lion. You know, look at whom he may devour, you know. And that's what it is, you know, constantly, you know. You seem like, and then, you know, another thing you have to watch out for, you know, is, well, I gotta watch out for. Because, man, you got some that, you know, and this is in regards to that connection bit I mentioned, you know, a few minutes ago, like that chemistry and connection thing. You know, sometimes that could be fiends, you know, that could be fake, um, and that could be, and you know, I take that back, because if it's chemistry, then it can't be fake. But you know, certain things can like can have an intention of evoking a reaction out of you. And then if it invokes a reaction out of you, then that evoked reaction out of you is fit, you know, is made or fit to legitimate something that was already preset. So you have to watch it. That's a framing game, you know, and it's not a game because it'll wreak havoc and damage on the individual. And what it is setting is setting. It's like it's creating. You know, it's a form of creation, or or recreation, you know, on the intellectual level. And it's things like that, you know, there's not even my business, you know, but it's like, you know, like I'm saying, it's not my business until, you know, it's maliciously implemented, and then, you know, things like that is set as just traps for you to fall into, and pits and all of that. The whole idea, man, you should trust none of it, you know. And by me being a hopeless romantic anyway, you know, it's like, it's been certain times in life where I don't walk like right into a trap, you know, blind. You know? And God showed me the situation. So then I got wise, you know, and now it's like to the point where I don't care, you know. I mean, as long as I got God, I'm good, you know, ultimately. And that's how I think, you know, I got God, I'm good. If he want me to have a queen, then yeah, you know. But I ain't really, you know, married to this word, man. This Bible. This what he put in my heart, you know. Eternity, man, the hopes, the spirit riches. That's enough to keep one preoccupied, you know. The love of God is enough to keep one happy, you know. And some people never get to be with their soulmates, you know. That's another thing, you know. And that's it for that love bit. Get back on this. All right, let me see what's next. No, I said all my last and final, but then, man, it's just so much new stuff, like new contingencies to touch on. Satan, you know, Satan dwells in distortion. Yeah, man, it's all distorted up, man. You know, even from the jump, man. I just wasn't at the place where I needed to be spiritually and mentally. But I grew though, you know. It's a huge world, man. You gotta be careful. You know what you chose to invite into your soul, and you gotta be careful about what decisions you make, like who you associate with. Then you gotta be careful about why. Why you do anything. You have to make sure you check yourself to make sure your own motivations and intentions right and align to the light and to God. Because if not, you'll find yourself in traps and won't even know. Feel me? And that's the thing. But like I say, man, once I make it known though, and I made it known many times in the past, and I got tons of copyrighted original content, on numerous blogs and platforms in which, I already expressed, and it's all over the web. You can see it, now, and all it is talking about the terrorism and different aspects. And then I gave each specific, I gave each specific branch, of, or piece of the puzzle. They all different pieces towards a larger picture. And understand when I was making these initial, and I got quotes and I'm illuminating something, but I'm giving the testimonies. I'm using my testimonies. Like I have no idea or intention of incriminating or antagonizing no particular entity, or being, because I didn't at the time. And now, even now, I don't have no particular entity or being in mind, that's responsible. All I know is terrorism, and I know it happened, and I know the signs of it, and I know I caught it real time, and I was catching it real time, and I look at as far as like who responsible. That's not my fault, I'm just no, what I mean. If everybody else knew, then that's something that I feel as though in a healthy functioning society that's going to be handled and taken care of. So that's out of my hands. All I'm responsible for is the preservation of my creation, you know, and I created, and then another thing God just brought to my attention right now as I speak, and it's like, and then Satan, what he tries to do is he turn the world to try to condemn me, what I'm saying, in order to make your creation, to make you as a person, of no value or of no worth. Because then if he do that, then whatever the next method is to destroy everything you do, or trying to everything you touch, or trying to destroy what you touch, and all of that. So if the world already sees you as worthless, then they're not gonna care about what happens to your stuff, And so it's all a ongoing satanic tactic to hide some type of evil by some kind of entity or being, and that's all I can be sure of. Because it doesn't end, it won't end. But I'm not gonna stop either, And there's attempts on my life. There's been attempts on my life, and all of that. None of that is my problem, and I'm not gonna pretend it is. That's not my problem or my issue. I didn't ask, or I didn't say terrorize me. I didn't. That's so. That's not my problem. I'm just responsible for what I've, like my creations, and keeping the faith and hope. There's nothing I somebody made mistakes. Everybody made mistakes in life. But like one thing about me though, for my wrongdoings, I know my wrongdoings are not what persecutors say they are. Most of the time, I'm aware of my wrongdoings, and I know what they are and what they are not. So what I mean, that's not something I get caught up on. Self condemnation is a trap. Self condemnation is a snare. There's no condemnation for anyone in Christ Jesus. That's in the word. You condemn yourself, which is what Satan wants you to do. Then you falling backwards. No, I never condemn myself for nothing. Because I monitor my actions, and conduct, so I won't have no kind of blame before anybody. So, I can just go on, man. What I'm seeing is like I see spiritual waves, and the spiritual waves, and they scattered all over the place, and it's a lot of them. And then when I see one, I can pull it in, then I can observe it and send it back out. And by pulling it in, it disperses it, you know. So That's what I'm doing here, you know. Sit here and I see spiritual things, they come, and I can see them before they come or when they yet forming. Throw a wrench in it, you know. Nah, man, I would never be that kind of person. Nah, man, I wouldn't be that kind of person, man. To like just, no, man, that's not even in my character. Everything I do is wholehearted, and it's always with love, and then, cause that's what I put in it. There's a lot going on. Multiple contingencies existing simultaneously right now. You know, I'm aware of all things that is, significant towards my particular purpose. God put me in the earth for. God brings my awareness to all of it, at once. And then certain things He does it in moderation. Gradually He opened my eyes to certain things that I can't handle at a certain point in time, but later I can handle it. I mean, God is in it, and just that alone, and God has shown Himself to be with me, and all of that, all this time, and just that alone should be enough to thwart, all purposes of the devil. It should be enough to like just make any type of persecution cease. Just it alone, should be. That's it, because it's God. He created everything. He creator of the universe. And just that by itself should be like, all right, but that's not how it works because the love of money is the root of all evil, you know, and that love of money is more than the love of God. Then there's gonna be all types of evil, wherever that is the case or the situation, you know, and that's why so much, you know. Oh man, when you prophecy and stuff, cause all this prophetic, man, I'm seeing this stuff, man, with spiritual eyes, man. Like physically, myself in my own mind, there ain't no way I could know it. It's only because of the Holy Spirit. And this thing and this junk. What I never say junk. This is holy, but it is very, very draining and tiring, man. Like it's take your energy out you. Like, but it's all for a good purpose, though. A betterment, widespread proportions, great proportions, man. It's among the most recent. Like I still haven't got my head around why, you know, my stuff didn't get the recognition. And that's another thing, like I spoke on before, recently in poetry and stuff, like my art, like it's separate. It's weird, man. It's the strangest thing. And that's one piece to the puzzle I'm gonna get though. God go give it to me on in his own time. And then once I get it, I'm gonna understand it. Then once I understand it, God is let me know whether there's anything I could do about it. If there is, then I will. But if not, then I won't. I leave it in his hand. I won't even try. But hey, that's still gotta get that one. So that wave is dispersed, but it just like that wave right there is just like it ain't fully dispersed because I don't fully understand it. But once I gain that understanding, then I'll be able to destroy that wave with illumination. But that wave is still standing, and I see it, and it's dark. It's a large dark wave. And the waves are look like shadows, like they're huge. Some of them huge, then some of them small like a hand. You know, some of them small like a hand, and they just float. They stationary, but they move slowly. This is all I can see in the spiritual realm right now. And they move slowly, and they float. And it's like a lot of them, man. They remind you of like universes, like how they depicted universes in the physical realm to be. That's how these spiritual word curses and demonic waves look. Word curses put them out. You know, once word curses go out, then they word curses create darkness. You know, even the smallest one plant bad seeds. You know, that's why it's very important to guard our mouth, and our hearts. Guard our tongues, it can defile us. What comes out of the mouth is what defiles me. Then we guard our hearts against things that like that. Stay rooted in prayer and keep our mind on the Lord, on the spiritual things. I'm telling you, because the world get colder and colder. I see it, like I can see it in the spiritual realm now. Like it gets colder. It's getting like it's like the darkness is getting to a point where it's becoming more, and that it's like many things is being consumed by vindictiveness, like misplaced vindictiveness, as well as the love of money. Then also the the lust for gratification, instant gratification. These are things that are gonna ultimately end in a mass destruction. You know, because of the seeds, the bad seeds that be planted. And sown are too great. Because after they sown, they multiply. They multiply for way more, than just that one. And they multiply in the forms like his own nature, of his own nature. You know. And then those seeds multiply. And then, each and then think about how many seeds can come from one. And then, from one person. And then think how many we have, how many people living. So, that's why repentance is key, Because once too many word curses pile up, too many bad seeds pile up, it's gonna start looking very, very strange. And it's looking like that now, in some aspects and areas. Even the word itself is being attacked, and taken as a joke, in plain sight, man. Mockery, you know, blasphemy, still blasphemy, whether it's direct or indirect, I tell you. But yeah, I'm up out of here though. Till next time though. I send my blessings, love. I lose peace and abundance. I blind all negativity and things and darkness from this, enemy of the devil. And I pray blessings, and prosperity, to those who stay faithful to the Lord and whom his good pleasure is upon, But let all that is not of God, repent, and turn, and be made aware of the reality of the light to the point where, it consumes and it overtakes, but it's all for the good. Correction, rebuke, Without that is only destruction.